Joseph Cangialosi is a cloud consulting leader at Google. He has been an active member in the Rutgers community. He talks about developing work experience even if it's through an unpaid internship. He shares how unpaid internships are similar to courses because he gets to learn from people that are senior to him. Good morning, Joe. Thank you so much for coming to this interview. Would you please tell me your career journey on how you started from college to coming to
Sure,
Google? How did that happen?
sure. So I got into IT. I actually went to a junior college at one point, DeVry, just to get IT experience. And from there, I did a degree in information technology and moved into Rutgers. At the same time, I was doing it was like a co-op program at Barnes and Noble at night in the data center, where I ran backups, etc. So finishing my degree at Rutgers, I was in Colgate Palmolive, a toothpaste company, if everyone knows that. I was doing DBA work at the time, database administration, and then moved into, once I graduated from Rutgers, moved into a management role at Colgate, where then I led teams in governance, and then moved into eventually a manager of marketing technology for anything that we were doing in terms of touching the customer. I was involved in that from a technology standpoint, contact centers, insights, etc. So after Rutgers, I then went right into a master's degree at NYU in IT management as well. And after a few years of doing that, I graduated as well. And by the way, this is all part-time learning while working, so a little bit different than most people, not a typical path. Um, Long story short, I then joined Amazon AWS. I was there for the last 4.5 years and recently joined Google, but a very similar role. I'm in the healthcare life science division. So, really supporting our customers in the pharmaceutical space or hospitals and what we call payer providers, insurance companies, et cetera, with the cloud technology. So, it's a kind of a very quick summary of the last probably 20 years of my life in
It,
about
it's
2 minutes.
it's pretty darn cool. I mean, going from Colgate, that is pretty who doesn't use that? And
Yeah.
going to like consistently being in like the mainstream companies where I think that is pretty cool. Even Barnes and Noble is pretty cool because
Mhm.
we all got textbooks from there.
Yeah, at the time it was very popular too. Um, I think what helped me get there, besides just taking college degrees and certifications, I also did internships free at the time, just to get some more experience as well as make connections, right, with leadership and understand a little bit of what the industry was. And that's why I've been volunteering at Rutgers probably for 10 plus years of helping people do career coaching. And when you guys host those events at the School of Communication Information, I'm usually there in
Wow.
some facet. Yeah.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Um, so what skills did you develop in your internships or at
Yeah.
AWS or at Colgate that you did not that students should start working on right now?
Yeah, there's obviously technical skill sets that you learn using various we call them ERP type of systems, right? The main, like
Mhm.
SAP is a big system to understand and know. I always tended to follow where the business is following, right? So if the business was at one time was very focused when I started as an IBMer prior to joining Colgate and Amazon and Google, they were very focused on security. Security was a big thing. So I took time to learn the security technology and how we're working with the customer and really applying it to real business types of environment. I think that's the one thing I would definitely coach people on. Learning a technology because it's cool is great, but if you can't apply it to business impact, I always say business impact, there's always a customer. Either at Colgate, it was the internal customer. I worked for the company, right? So I was trying to help our company do better and get impact. When you go to an Amazon or Google, your customer is not inside the company, it's outside the company, right? You're trying to help the people that are paying for these services. So that's one. I would also never underestimate the value of relationship building. You know, a lot of what I do now is relationship building, how we help our customers, and how we develop a relationship where they trust us, right? Because we're a lot of times we're advising them on what they should do. They give us a business case. How do we dissect that? Um, and earn trust at the same time for the customer, always thinking that, with them in mind, not just from installing a cool technology. So anyway, look at the technology and see how you could apply it, but also make sure that you're building a network and earning trust with inside of everything that you do. Even in college, like there's opportunities to be part of working teams, to do side projects. Just keep trying to build a network as well.
Understood. So it's like follow the business where it's like where what technologies are being implemented. So it's like
Yeah.
some specific ones in there, and then relationship building is a big one because that's what will get you to where you want to be, right?
Yeah, try to stay ahead. So that was what I talked about. IBM at the time of security was a big one. Um, but now Gen AI, right? Everybody is talking about Gen AI. Once I saw that that was starting, I started taking more courses on either through e-learning platforms that were available through me through my job, but I also tried to like get ahead of it, right? Like how's this really affecting us? How can we apply it? How can we help customers grow their business with it? So just
And
trying to be proactive.
being proactive, that's a very big skill. I
Yeah, very big.
And so that brings me to my third question as to like how it's along the lines of relationship building.
Mhm.
It's about networking and how important is networking in your field, or how
Huge.
important what benefits has networking got you to somewhere that you wanted to be?
Yeah. So I always look for mentors. Like I think that when anybody that's graduating Rutgers or any college, they should really look for mentors inside the organization. Whether it's formal or not, I always say formal's good because it puts skin in the game, right? Like if I'm already established at a company like Google, if you came there, yeah, I can mentor you. But if there's no set structure there, sometimes it falls apart. So if you
Mhm.
could get a formal mentorship, yes. I think networking in general, and not just about getting a job, like when you're in the company, how do you, nobody does, solves the problem by themselves, right? You learn that pretty quick.
Yeah.
If you're a programmer, like I'll give you the database administrator example, that's what I did. Oh, I didn't just install a database. I would also have to get a system administrator involved. I'd have to get automation team involved. I'd have to get a hardware person. I'd have to get a network person just so we could be productive and get to the end result. Now, if I'm not talking to those people on a normal basis and growing a relationship, they're not going to help me, right? Or they'll
Yeah.
be very like not focused on helping me doing their own thing. But once you make these connections and people, again, I think trust is a big one. People could trust you, and they know that you're on their side and building that network. It's great with inside an organization. That's how you progress not only your career but your skill sets, right? Because so, but I would also add, networking, especially early on, trying to find out your path with inside the company. The job you might not be hired for, you
Mhm.
might not be in that job long, or you might be looking for other opportunities. And that's where your network comes in, right? Understanding people's experience, giving you guidance through there, and looking even outside the company to understand what other opportunities. After I do this, can I grow here? If I can't, I have a network that's outside there to continue doing what I like.
Right. So it's all about helping in within the company, and so that you build that relationship, and so then they help you out, and then
Correct.
having a clear path of where you want to be in your position later on. And
Yeah.
the folks who are at the company can actually help you out. That's pretty cool, actually. Wow. I'm
Yeah.
very inspired by that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
And the last part is, what advice would you give to any student right now who's struggling in IT?
Well, it depends how they're struggling. Are they struggling with the content? I think, the outside world, I've been in the IT business, I guess, for 25 plus years, so quite a
Mm,
while.
yeah.
I summarized it in two sentences before when we started this call, but it's been a journey. So I think when people look at technology, especially as they're learning it in college or at Rutgers, or even when they're starting their first job, they realize pretty quickly that there's so many avenues to go. So I personally am not a coder,
Mhm.
but that did not make me walk away from technology, right? Or learning more about computer science, or any of the various facets. It's so big. You could be a database engineer. You could do customer engagement. You could do account management, like sales types of roles. You could be a programmer. You could be uh, uh, really, it's so broad right now. So what I always tell people is don't get easily turned off. Give it some time. Find out within a year, this is not what I want to do, or this is what I want to keep doing. And also know that there's just so many opportunities in technology to not pigeonhole yourself,
Mhm.
and kind of walk away when there's so many different avenues that you could take and grow your career and use the skill sets that you kind of have already, right? Like relationship building. There's even aspects of that that are roles dedicated to that. How do you communicate very technical skills with business people? There has to be this middle person in that environment, and most people that are doing IT programs in colleges don't understand that because they're not there yet. So don't be easily discouraged.
Understood. That's so just keep at it. Don't be
Keep
discouraged.
at it. Give it time.
Good time.
Yeah, I talked to Rutgers, when I mentioned I mentor students. I go to these sessions and they go, "Yeah, I switched my major after the first 6 months. I didn't like it. Then I switched it again." And it's like, oh, if you just gave it a little bit of time, unless you hate it. If you hate something, then yeah, change it. But give it more time because a lot of times you don't get to the good stuff until you're towards the end or until you understand more. So that's the advice I usually give people.
Got it. Just give it time. Keep going.
Yep.
Result. The good result is there. It's waiting for you.
It's around the corner
It's around the corner.
with a lot of options.
Wonderful. I mean, that concludes the interview. I thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate
Anytime. Anytime. It's a pleasure to help Rutgers out. I feel it was one of the greatest parts of my career is going back to school and finishing a degree at Rutgers. I strongly have stayed connected to the college for a reason. I believe it's really focused on being a place where students could be successful.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.